Live from the TV30 studio, here is Jim Schneider.
Well, good evening and welcome to inFocus. We're glad that you've joined us for our broadcast tonight, and trust you're going to find tonight's information to be very helpful and rewarding to hear, and also certainly to get engaged with as well. More on that in just a moment. It was in 1848 that Wisconsin became a state. 1 year later, in my opinion, the founders, the legislators at that time, chose to protect life in the womb, whereby they passed legislation, a state statute, that forbid abortion taking place except for the cause of saving the life of the mother. So that was passed in 1849. Now we're going to advance many, many years, because today is the 51st anniversary of the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision. It was on this day, January 22nd of the year 1973, that a majority of justices on the Supreme Court gave their opinion that abortion was a constitutional right. Many decried this decision and said this was wrong. It was not based upon our Constitution, not based on science. It was not even based on the truth. And as a result, we did see come forward on June 24th, 2022, an overturn of that decision, a key decision that was made called Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, and overturned Roe v. Wade. And so that took the fight back to individual states across this nation, and a fight it has been. Well, immediately when that Dobbs decision came out, the state law that was effective just became alive again, and that is a banning on abortion. And so Planned Parenthood shuttered its doors, so to speak. They did not accept appointments for abortion because the law prohibited it. And it continues to prohibit it. However, there is, in my opinion, an activist judge out of Dane County who made a decision that, no, this is not talking about abortion, this is talking about feticide. And so as a result, they gave that ruling. And Planned Parenthood saw that ruling and said, I guess we can go ahead and do abortions then in our state. There has not been any legal challenges that are working its way up through the courts here at this particular point, largely in part perhaps due to the election of Janet Protasewicz, who was very vocal on her position as it relates to what is termed a woman's right to choose and reproductive freedom. Well, so as a result, Planned Parenthood opened its doors once again and are back in the killing business of unborn babies here again in the state of Wisconsin. And so rather than fight this ruling, instead we have the majority party, which is right now the Republican Party in the state of Wisconsin, have introduced this piece of legislation. Before we introduce our guest tonight, I'm going to show you and talk to you a little bit about this bill that was just introduced last week Friday. It is Assembly Bill number 975. Number 975, and this legislation that was drafted and introduced really at the behest of the Speaker of the Assembly, Robin Vos, and a number of cohorts, are deciding that this legislation, they want, in essence, let's scrap what happened back in 1849, and instead this would allow for abortion to take place up to 14 weeks after conception takes place. Would also put this, if passed by the legislature, would put it on the April 2024 referendum for the people of the state of Wisconsin to make a decision on this issue. But again, it would allow abortion to take place up to 14 weeks after conception taking place. Well, this bill became on a very, very fast track. It was just introduced this past Friday. And friends, right here is the notice of a public hearing for this legislation. And the public hearing was announced for this afternoon. I mean, there was not even a business day in between, but this afternoon at 2 o'clock, the public hearing was held on Assembly Bill number 975. This bill is on such a fast track that not only is this notice here of the public hearing, but you're also going to see right now that there is an executive session that is scheduled for 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in Madison on AB 975. This executive session is where the committee members now come together, and they're going to cast their votes on should we advance this for the full assembly to vote on or not. Now, what's interesting is that I noticed that the full assembly is scheduled to come together for their legislative session tomorrow night. And as a matter of fact, here is the schedule so far. For tomorrow night, the Assembly will convene at 6:30 p.m. Will this be on there? We don't know at this point. My belief is that it likely will be, or this week be up there at the state legislature. And so this is passing going very quickly, introduced. They wanted very little public knowledge about it, very little public opinion. They scheduled a public hearing. I mean, you release this on Friday. Public hearing is taking place Monday afternoon. Tuesday afternoon, the committee is voting on it, and possibly as early as Tuesday night or some other day this week that the legislature is in a floor period can pass this legislation. Friends, your voice can be heard on this legislation. Again, this is Assembly Bill number 975. And what you can do is to go to the state's website, and right here I'm going to show you a list of committee members, and then we'll tell you how you can get there. But here's a listing of all the committee members that are part of the Committee on Health, Aging, and Long-Term Care. They're the ones that held the public hearing earlier today. They are the ones that will be voting on it on committee, and then if they pass it, then it will go on to the full state assembly for their vote on it as well. So there's been very little time for the public to really get knowledge of and to engage in this. So the purpose is to inform you what's happening in Madison right now, and also to acquaint you with how you can let your voice be heard. And what you can do is you can go to the state's website, which is legis.wisconsin.gov. That's legis.wisconsin.gov. You can go to that website, and then at the top of the page, you're going to see committees. You would click on committees at the top of the page, and then go down to the word assembly. This is an assembly committee. Click on that, and then you're going to scroll down to the Committee on Health, Aging, and Long-Term Care. So you make your way down there in alphabetical order. You click on that Committee on Health, Aging, and Long-Term Care. And when you do that, you come up to this page where you have a listing of all the members of that committee on the left side of the page. And you can just click on them. And when you do, you will receive information pertaining to the member, their phone number, also their email address that you're able to get through to them as well. So here's the chair of the committee, Representative Clint Moses. And so right there, you're going to see his toll-free number. You're going to see his email address and be able to communicate with him, as you can with the other committee members as well. But it is going to be up for a vote according to their reported information that they've sent out, holding an executive session on this tomorrow afternoon. And we bring this to you, this information, as a public service to make you aware this is on a fast track. And tomorrow night at 6:30, the State Assembly is convening. And if they do pass this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the executive session, it very well could be on the docket yet tomorrow night. 24 hours from now, could be passed into law and moving forward to then to the Senate, to the governor, and so forth as well. Possibly could be on the April ballot if all is passed. There's a coalition of pro-life groups that said, no, we are in opposition to this. Wisconsin Family Action, Pro-Life Wisconsin, Wisconsin Right to Life, and the Wisconsin Catholic Conference, who have all said, no, we are in opposition to this legislation, and certainly calling attention to the fast track that this is on as well. So on this anniversary of Roe versus Wade, this legislation, this public hearing took place. But friends, we're going to focus on really the blessing of life, the blessing that life is, and certainly babies in the womb are precious, and life is precious, and the Bible tells us that we are, as God told Jeremiah, he said, before you were born, I ordained thee a prophet. And certainly we recognize that we have been knit together in our mother's womb, and as Scripture says, marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. God hates the hands that shed innocent blood. And so we talk about the importance of standing up for life, the sanctity of human life. Well, our guest tonight represents an organization that shows the truth of the baby's development by way of ultrasound. It's our privilege to have back on inFocus Dottie Enters. Dottie's Executive Director of Eyewitness For Life. They believe that every unborn child's life is inherently valuable from the moment of conception. Dottie, good to have you here tonight.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thank you.
And also, we have with us Kiera, who is a client of Eyewitness for Life. And Kiera, nice to have you here with us.
Nice to be here. Nice to be here.
Great. And we're going to be hearing from Kiera in just a little bit. But Dottie, you know all about the development that's going on in the womb. You have ultrasonographers that work with you in this regard. And I'm sure it causes you to shudder to think that we are looking at here in the state of Wisconsin allowing the killing of an unborn baby up to 14 weeks.
Well, it's sort of that fast track that you mentioned is sort of par for the course of how abortion decision making tends to be. It's very rushed. It's very fast track. Let's get this going. It's a moneymaker, and that's the problem. There's not that contemplative decision making time, which what ultrasound is so cool. Ultrasound gives that ability for mom to see her unborn baby. It's the only medical imaging that allows someone else's body parts to be viewed. If you think about that, when you have an x-ray of your teeth or a broken bone, that's your own body. But ultrasound in an obstetrical setting is somebody else's body, and it's a baby, her own unborn baby.
That's very interesting because that's counter to what we are hearing from those that are in favor of abortion. You know, a woman should have control over her own body, my choice. We hear that mantra quite a bit.
Correct, but it is her body, but it's another body, so that has to be considered as well.
Mm-hmm. So you're concerned when we see a legislature that wants to sanction, and we're going to see some pictures here tonight. We're talking about a baby. We're talking human life.
Yes, you know. Last week we had a client in, and this mom was very set for abortion. But then when she saw baby raise her hand, and it appeared to be almost like a wave, and she said, you know what? That makes a difference for me, for my decision. So that humanity speaking to her on the screen was very powerful.
Why are you engaged in Eyewitness for Life?
Because it's so effective. You know, we've been doing this for 30 years, and from the beginning, our focus was education. I'm a firm believer in education to inform, and it's positive. It's not looking at pictures of someone else's baby that's been slaughtered, which I know that's an approach, but it's looking at your own baby's picture, and ultrasound is the switch that gets turned on. It ignites the maternal instinct that God put in each person's heart. And so that just allows that to come forward.
What can you tell us about the development of that baby going on?
So we see typically moms at about 6 weeks, because that's when we can first, right around 6 weeks is when we can first confirm that her positive pregnancy test means that she's carrying a human life. And we can see the heartbeat. We can see that at 6 weeks. So that's 4 weeks from post-conception. That's very powerful for women to see, to understand. I just talked to somebody the other day, and they're like, well, I want to quick get in and get an abortion before there's a heartbeat. Well, sorry to tell you, but once you have a positive pregnancy test, there's already heartbeat. So it starts beating at 3 weeks.
Wow, wow. Knowing that, why do you think there's such a concerted effort on the part of pro-abortion groups to not have ultrasounds? I mean, there's many who have fought against having ultrasounds for the expectant mom.
Sure. Well, they know the value of it. They know the impact of it. It can be, I think that they think it's going to make her have an emotional decision. Well, you probably need to involve your emotions in something that you're contemplating ending the life of a child. That's appropriate to have your emotions engaged, as well as the facts, the medical facts of what fetal development looks like at that point.
Yeah, because at the same token, they will use emotions to say, well, you can't afford this baby. This is going to take you off course for your life. You know, this is going to end whatever career that you decided to have. It's going to, I mean, it's a picture of doom and gloom that would instill fear in somebody.
It is, and I feel that's so unempowering for women. Women are capable of great things, and especially with support, a hand up. We can have children and we can have careers. They can be simultaneous, but it's very unempowering to say, well, you can't do it. You can't do it all.
So often today we hear the mantra, follow the science. This is really basic biology, isn't it?
It is basic biology, and it's been around for so long. You just can't deny it. And to suppress ultrasound and not to elevate it, to make it, to be an informed consent for choice, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so you've met a number of women who have been abortion-minded. They have had the ultrasound. What impact is that making?
Well, our clientele is unique. All of the women who come to Eyewitness for Life are considering abortion, every single one of them. So ultrasound is key to provide that fetal education in a supportive environment where, do you need resources? What are they? Are they material, emotional? Do you need a job? What? We can connect you in. We have a follow-up coordinator who connects women in after their ultrasound to specifically meet the needs that she has so that she can have her baby.
So let's look at some of the photos, some of the stills that you brought with you here tonight, and take a look at these and start with the very first shot that we have here. And we're going to have you just comment on what we're looking at here.
Sure, and I'm not a sonographer. I'll make that disclaimer right away, but this is a cute little profile shot of a first trimester baby. Probably about 12 weeks, I would say. 12
weeks.
Yeah.
And yet, this baby, under this law that is seeking to be passed, on the chopping block. It's amazing. Let's look at another photo that you have here tonight as well.
Looks pretty similar. Again, a profile shot. You can see that where the head clearly is, and look at that. There's the brain already forming.
Yeah.
The cardiac tissue already functioning.
Let's look at the next photo here.
A little hand.
Oh, yeah.
That's the wave that I was talking about that woman was so intrigued by. And you see how that's printed on their hand. The sonographer can actually identify the body parts and print that right on the picture for a mom so that she knows what she's looking at.
Okay, and there's also 3D ultrasound.
3D ultrasound image. That's an early first trimester 3D ultrasound. So it's hard to get a cute little image when they're like that. They look a little alienish because they don't have a lot of body fat that the machine needs to calculate those fleshed out bodies. But still, look at the hands along the side of the face. Really cute.
Again, the heart is beating away. There's brain activity that is going on.
Absolutely.
And do we know the gender of the child at that time?
No. The gender's known to God, but we can't see it till closer to like 15 weeks.
Right, but that gender is actually determined at conception,
At conception, yes.
Let's take a look at some more photos that you have here as well.
Another profile shot. You have the head, the hand, and the leg identified there. We had, it was so cute, the other day we had a really sweet little Hispanic couple in, and the sonographer typed in, "Hola, mama." And it was adorable. It was so personal. She loved it.
Great. And so that was 12 weeks, and then there's also an 18-week that we have here as well.
Yeah, you can see baby's getting big. At 18 weeks, fully formed, just waiting to put pounds on and waiting to be delivered.
And here's some arms and hands.
You can see the white shadowy part is the bone and the little fingers.
And next we're going to meet Noelle.
Yes, baby Noelle. There she was at 9 weeks. 9 weeks is, okay, you can see she's moving there. This is a 4D image because there's movement.
Okay.
She's rubbing her chin.
Okay, and then we're going to go up to 17 weeks.
Same baby, baby Noelle at 17 in a profile shot. Opening and closing her mouth. You can see the heart beating.
Yeah. Then we also have Noelle at 34 weeks.
34 weeks in 3D. And she has those cheeks, and you're going to see her in just a minute, and that looks just like Noelle.
And let's see Noelle at 4 months old. Wow.
Such a cutie.
Wow. Truly
Noelle
amazing.
is the daughter of one of our sonographers.
Precious little baby. And you're watching inFocus tonight, and again, today is the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. I'm so thankful that decision was overturned. The battle is going on in states all across this country right now, and there have been really, there have been many thousands of babies that have been saved as a result of that overturning decision, but some states are digging their heels in to promote the killing of preborn children. And friends, we're here tonight to say that there is life inside the womb. There's joy and blessing that's encompassed in that little package of life as well. Take a look at one other batch of slides here. We have some early development taking place here. This being the very first slide here.
First trimester ultrasound 3D. Baby has her hands up by her eyes, almost like rubbing her eyes. Oh, another first trimester 3D. That baby is older. Look at the definition of the nose. Wow, there's some structure to those cheekbones. Baby's hands up, ready to fight. That's a hand.
Okay, yep. Hand against the head there. And then we also have an image with a heartbeat.
Right. We always want to document that heartbeat for the doctor.
Very strong heart. And wonderful photos that you had with you here tonight, ultrasound images. And again, the impact this has, it really shows the truth. This is humanity in the womb.
Absolutely. And just going back to talking about the impact of role reversal, Kiara actually was impacted directly by that law being repealed, or that, that
Right,
law.
right. And so let's hear your story, Kiara. So you found yourself to have an unplanned pregnancy.
Oh, yeah. Me and my boyfriend at the time, well, he's my boyfriend now, but at the time, you know, we were on just rocky terms, and it was obviously unexpected. And I was so against it because I always said, like, I wouldn't have another child, you know, without being, you know, out of wedlock. I already had one daughter, and I didn't want to go through that again. So I told myself I wouldn't do it. And of course, unplanned pregnancy happened, and, you know, I had planned to get an abortion. So the day of my appointment that I decided to go, and they tell me, hey, well, we can't do it today because the law had just passed the same day, like maybe 30 minutes before my appointment.
The Dobbs decision. That's what you're referring to, the Supreme Court decision.
Yes. And in my head, obviously, it wasn't like the first thing I thought, like, oh, that was God. That wasn't my first thought, no. I then went to iLife, and I'm like, okay, I went there to begin with, because
To Planned Parenthood?
no,
Eyewitness
For Life.
Okay.
Yep. So I went there to begin with, only, you know, because, well, I did with my first daughter too, any time that I was rocky, but my daughter was planned. So this was completely different. But, yeah, it was just like I kept getting turned around every time that I tried to, like, make the decision of, you know, abortion. I got turned around every time. And it was like they pushed out my abortion so far out, and I was just like, whoa, like, I can't do that. And again, like Dottie said, the heartbeat starts right away. It's not like, okay. But in my head, I was trying to, like, make an excuse. Like, well, it doesn't even have limbs yet. Like, it won't, you know, feel anything, of course. Like, just trying to make myself feel better. But yeah, God was like, no, no. He didn't allow that for me.
Sure. So, but originally you had been scheduled to have an abortion with Planned Parenthood?
Yeah. Originally, I had the abortion scheduled. At that point, I was about 6 weeks. We were very early on, like 6 weeks or so. And then the law had just passed where, you know, abortion is illegal now. So, like I said, it happened like 30 minutes before my appointment time, and I had no idea, of course, that was going to happen. Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
30 minutes before my scheduled appointment, and then they pushed out my appointment to, I had to go to Illinois. And by that time, it was like 4 weeks out, and I'm not gonna, you know, do that at this time, but I was still contemplating on doing it. But then that appointment got canceled too. Hey, they said, the doctor, they had a family emergency, so they aren't going to be able to do it. So they pushed out a little longer. But of course, I kept going back to see Dottie and the sonographer. I kept, because it's like almost like I needed someone to put me in the right headspace because I was scared, and I knew that, you know, I knew that he didn't want the child. I knew that I didn't, but there was other options, and it just came to a point where I came so many times. I don't even know how many times I came. Even like I called one day. I think I texted actually one day, and she's like, "We're not open this day," and she opened up just for me to come, you know. And she asked me like, "Okay, what's your decision now? Like, what are you thinking?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like I had appointments scheduled. Even like I didn't tell her, you know. I didn't tell her. I just was like, yeah, I'm not gonna go. But I know like one day I was just like, no. I drove to Chicago, and I stopped on the highway. I stopped on the highway, and I just cried, and I was just like, no, I can't do it. So.
You had seen ultrasound images?
Oh yeah.
How did that impact you?
It's like it connects you, and again, like Dottie said, like just touching on that, it brings out the maternity instincts. And I have a child already, and my daughter is very, very clingy, and I love it because she's every bit of me. So seeing that, and I'm like, this is a human, like it's a real baby in here, and I'm like, it's always the heartbeat though. The heartbeat is what is like, you have to be out of your mind to take a life, you know, because the heartbeat has formed. So it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Your story has been documented and put on video, and so we're going to air that, and then we'll come back and talk about that a little bit further. But this is shot with Eyewitness for Life, and you're going to see Kiara's story, so let's watch the video at this time.
I personally don't think I would be able to get out of bed without Kai.
How many roads you were told to go on?
And it sounds crazy, like, hey, you got another kid that you're supposed to live for, but I'm meant to be a mom to both of them.
To keep it together.
Without Kai, I just feel like I would be at loss, and then Journey would have lost me.
It goes on.
It was unexpected. I did not want a child at that time. We weren't ready for that, and we were on very, very rocky terms. So I didn't want Kai. And I feel bad for saying it, but that's how I felt then. He did not want Kai either. We both were pretty much on the same page. It was just me, mentally, I didn't think I could handle that. But a lot of things derailed me from like getting rid of him. We scheduled an appointment for the abortion, and the day of going to the appointment when it was set up, they told me that I had to reschedule because the law had just passed, so they were no longer doing abortions in the state of Wisconsin. So they could call out to Illinois, and then I could schedule it for that. And it got to a point where they were offering the abortion for free because it was a lot of things that they were doing that was affecting me getting an abortion. They offered me the hotel for 3 nights so that I can go stay that night and stay there and then come back and get the first part of the abortion and then the second part the next day. And I accepted those terms, like, okay, that'll work. But by 23 weeks, like, no, I feel movement. I was so stuck on like, yeah, I am gonna get an abortion, but I wasn't 100% sure. Like something was telling me, no, you don't really want that. And everybody was pressuring me too, like, yeah, you don't need another baby. I did not want to have another child out of wedlock. My mom was definitely not supportive. She called me and was like, it was so much disrespect, so much taunting, so much hate in her words, and just, it was almost like I felt like she didn't really love me, like I was a disappointment or something. Me and my parents were like really rocky at that point, but it got to a point where I was still pregnant and I needed my mom. I needed to know that it would be okay if I had him. And I mean, I'm with Kai's dad now. Like, we're together now, and we're on good terms now. And, you know, I see a future now. But at that time, I couldn't see anything but a horrible life. I was really depressed. I stopped talking to everybody. And then I kept coming here, and I just kept talking to Dottie, like, I don't think I want to do it. I don't think I want to do it. And she's just like, but if you don't want to go, you don't have to go. It's up to you. So it was more so me constantly really calling and like, okay, can I get another appointment? Can I do this? And like, of course, she fit me in. If I didn't have this, if this wasn't a thing, if it didn't exist, I probably would have, and I probably would have went to a dark place, and I wouldn't have had an escape. Even though you guys would not really say like, hey, you know, keep that baby, or hey, you don't need that baby, whatever. It was just the support. And I feel like I didn't have that. And then you guys gave that to me. When you walk in the door, you get a sense of where you can just sigh in relief. You can just relax. And nothing but love and support. It feels really nice to be around people who love to be here to support you, where you don't have to feel like you are bothering them by a call or a text. And even just getting you guys to check up on me when no one else was, just to see how I'm doing or how I'm handling the situation or what route I'm taking, it mattered. I would recommend this place 1,000 times, like 1,000 times, because the support, the services, like everything, even after your visit, you know, you get your pictures, but hey, here's something to take for your unborn child. It was more about, you cared about my life too, like outside of just me carrying a child. So it was like, I mattered, and everybody loves to feel mattered, like they want that. And you sent me home with a book, and I got to put all of my baby ultrasound pictures in there. And that was when I was like, okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna keep the baby. If I didn't come to Eyewitness, I don't think that I would have had Kai. I truthfully feel like I would have listened to everybody. I hate to even think about what my life would look like without Kai, because I look at my son and I'm like, I can't believe I didn't want you. Like, how could I not have wanted you? I can't put into words like how much all of this has meant to me. Thank you is not enough, you know. Thank you is not enough.
A very beautiful story. And I'm sure you're so glad you chose life.
I did. I am. Even like seeing it now, like I still hold on to the thoughts that I had before, because to think that's where I thought about it, you know, like really, I can't believe that I did, and it's hard to really, I don't know, I would just say like I'm just so, sorry. It always makes me emotional to think about, like that's what I was looking to do, and I was like trying to force myself to make that decision because everyone around me and what I was thinking in my head, like I just feel like I was doing it for everybody else and not for me. Mm-hmm. And everybody made it very difficult for me.
You had a lot of pressure put on you.
Yeah, and it's like, how can someone look at you and tell you what you can do and what you're capable of, especially when it's involving your child, the one that you're carrying, and then that's a lot of weight for a person to handle, and not only just a person, but a woman who's carrying a child. Mm-hmm. Depression is real, you know. Postpartum, that carries a lot of weight, and yeah, I'm happy that I chose life.
There's a number of women who have had abortions and now have the big regret regarding going through that procedure. You don't have to live with that regret.
No. Yeah. No. I'm happy that I can say that. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm still struggling with right now, just trying to get out of my head, because I did have those thoughts. And of course, I'm happy to say that I didn't choose that. I went a different route. I took a different route. But I feel upset with myself because I thought about it, Like, I thought about it. And not only did I think about it, but I was making steps to actually go ahead and do it. And just that is just like, wow.
Kira, you made the right decision.
Yeah.
The right decision.
I'm happy.
And
I'm
we're
happy
excited
with
for
that.
you as
Yes.
well.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
And that's such a common, that's just a common experience that women have is they don't believe in abortion. They might possibly be very pro-life, but then when they face a circumstance that's difficult, it becomes a reality for them that they are considering abortion. And you know what? Because it's been legal, it seems like it's more okay. And unfortunately, it's not true. But I really, and we saw the numbers drop when Planned Parenthood stopped doing abortions in Wisconsin. Some people did go to Illinois, but the abortion numbers way dropped, and we saw that across the nation. If it's not legal, women won't go for it. They just won't.
So, Dottie, again, you've encountered many different women that have come to Eyewitness for Life, and I'm sure there are a number of stories just feeling that heavy pressure that's being placed upon them, sometimes by a husband or a boyfriend, sometimes by one's own family, sometimes peer pressure as well for that. Describe that for us, if you would.
Yeah, there's so many stories. I mean, and always just the ones that I most recently experienced kind of come to mind right away. This woman that young and in school, and she said, I'm 20-something years old and I'm in school, I can't do this. But then she gave it a pause and she thought some more and she called and wanted to come in for an ultrasound. She thought she couldn't do it. And then she saw the baby and she said, you know what? I've rethought it and I'm ready. And it's just like giving that extra time to think about it and to consider it. But then the mom that called and identified herself as a Christian, and she said, my daughter is, she was an early teenager, and she said she's pregnant, and she told me that she wants to get rid of it and move on with her life. And she said, I told her it doesn't work that way, and I want her to come in and have an ultrasound. I'm still waiting for that call. I would love to schedule an ultrasound for her daughter. It hasn't happened yet, but these are the stories we hear about. And you speak about the men. The men have a tremendous influence in the abortion decision-making. Absolutely. They really do. It could go either way, though. Right now we're working with a mom who's the father of the baby he's excited. He wants the baby, but she's very unsure. So I'm hoping that his influence will sway the day and that she will choose life. The other thing we hear, too, for abortion decision-making is, well, I prayed about it. Or I asked the big guy. And my question usually always is, and what did God say? And that sort of person, did I use that on you?
it was more so that, yeah, you did actually. But it was really because, exactly, what did he say? What did he say?
Because no one's ever said, well, he said I could kill the baby. But what I have heard is that I'm going to ask for forgiveness. Well, we don't trifle with God's grace like that, and we don't presume on God's grace. Of course, the sin of abortion is forgivable. Every sin is washed away in the blood of Jesus Christ. But we're not God. And so Satan will use that. And so we don't want to get into that position where later in life he tells us, you're not forgiven for that. So.
Very interesting. So you experienced some of those pressures that Dottie was just talking about there, too?
Oh, yeah. I was working at the time, and my sister, she came to my job, and I was kind of telling her what was going on because I was in limbo. Well, not in the beginning, everybody knew I don't want this for me.
Very abortion-minded.
Yes, very abortion-minded. I was, straight. I want to get rid of this baby and move on with my life. Like she said, I wanted to do that as well. But it doesn't work like that. But I had people in my ear you don't need that. My mom, both my parents actually, just was do you really want to do that? And my dad, he actually called and said, you said that you didn't want to have a baby out of wedlock. So now you're lying to yourself? I was just like, wait, what? And when I decided to keep Kai, it was like, I didn't like let anyone know. And I feel like I was trying to persuade them to be on my side. But at the end of the day, the decision was mine. And since I've made it and, you know, he's here, I can't really forgive myself for thinking it. And it's like looking at them, I kind of think about it still too, like, what are you thinking? You know, like, I am doing it and you thought that I couldn't. And he's perfectly healthy, happy, you know, so I'm just honestly glad that I didn't let them choose for me.
So what was that thing that caused you to call Eyewitness for Life?
Well, yeah, I worked with Dottie prior. It was with my first pregnancy. I miscarried. And then my daughter, of course, like I said, she was planned, but it was like early on. But what I experienced, you know, the first couple of times that I went, it was nothing but support.
Yeah. Love.
Love, support, like you get that the moment that you walk in the door. So I needed to know, I think I was looking to see, like, for it to be okay. Like, I was looking for it to be okay. Like, because in my head, I knew that I wouldn't be able to make the decision, but I think I was just looking for a route to take because I knew Dottie. So it was almost like, it's not that I'm like, she's God, but I'm like, I need someone to tell me that it will be okay if I went ahead and did it. Even though, like, I have these people behind me, but these are people who just simply does not want that for me at all. So I needed to go to someone who would do what you feel is right for you, but also, like, still guide me in the right direction. So
Dottie, you had a lot of communication coming from Kiera.
Oh, there's some moms that are very extra special. She's one of them.
That's great. But Eyewitness for Life, your organization, what does it cost for somebody to come in and have an ultrasound?
We're a free clinic, completely free. We always have been. We don't take government funding. We exist strictly on donations, and we have for 30 years. No fee for services at all.
Yeah.
Just come in. But you know, we've been around for a long time doing it, and interestingly, our expenses continue to increase just because of the culture that we're in. When our building was vandalized after the Dobbs decision came down, we had to go to the route of hiring professional security. So now we have professional security to keep our staff and moms safe. And that's pricey.
And this is amazing because, I mean, hearing Kiera talk about the warmth, the love, the acceptance, and yet that's what's being targeted because of the Dobbs decision.
Right. When we experienced that vandalism, that was violent, angry, tens of thousands of dollars of damage, and yeah, we need to be safe to do what we're doing. But we're not going to be detoured. We're going to continue to do it.
And matter of fact, you're holding an open house coming up real soon. And
we are.
And so share the information with our viewers.
Sure. We just moved the clinic. We have a brand new location right across from Mayfair Road, 2525 North Mayfair Road. And February 18th, Sunday, February 18th is our clinic dedication. So we're having a cookies and milk mingle from 2 to 3. We'll have live ultrasound demonstrations. People can come in and see our new facility. We're very proud of it. It's beautiful. We were able to expand. We weren't planning to, but we discovered we needed to. So it was perfect timing on God's part.
Sunday, February 18th from 2 to 3 in the afternoon. Location 2525 North Mayfair Road, and that's Suite 30 in Milwaukee, Wauwatosa, 53226. And by the way, the phone number is 414-462-5483. That's 414-I-AM-ALIVE.
That's right.
And their website, Eyewitness for Life, Eyewitness for Life. Friends, we'd like to open phone lines here this evening and give you opportunity. If you have a question you would like to ask, a brief comment you would like to make, our phone number here is 414-935-3030, 414-935-3030. You may reach us toll-free at 800-733-8830. That's 1-800-733-8830. You may also text in your question or a brief comment. Just include your first name, the city that you're texting from, and then your question or comment to 414-439-3585. That's 414-439-3585. Now, some of you right now may not even have not known that this organization exists here in Milwaukee and is available. And how does somebody need to connect with you to make an appointment?
Sure, primarily through Google. Internet is our biggest, self-referral is our biggest source of clients. So sometimes we'll get referrals from other agencies, but primarily people self-refer.
Okay, and so they can go to your website and make an appointment, or they call
Yes.
and make an appointment?
Yeah, there's a form fill in to make an appointment.
Okay, and you can go online. Again, that's eyewitnessforlife.org. Eyewitnessforlife.org. You can go there, make your appointment, and then they'll come in. But again, there's no fee for your services.
Correct, no fee.
Great. So, friends, we're taking your calls tonight, 414-935-3030, 1-800-733-8830, or send a text to 414-439-3585. And maybe you're like me here tonight, just so thankful that Kiera chose life and has the life of a beautiful baby boy right now. That's precious. Let's go to Chris is calling from Muskego. Hi, Chris, you're on the air.
Hi, Jim. Thank you for all you're doing, and God bless Dottie for everything that she's doing as well. And also continued blessings from God to your guest. I think she's wonderful. God bless her.
Yeah.
My question is this. I think abortion is definitely murder, and I think it should be handled accordingly. However, how do you address in the situation where the fetus is not viable and it's a threat to the mother's medical health? How do you address that with people that you talk with?
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Well, sure. Well, a non-viable fetus, non-viable means not alive. So if it's not alive, that's not an abortion. That's a misunderstanding I think that people have about miscarriage. Miscarriage is not an abortion in any sense of the word. My daughter just experienced it, and it was a tragic loss of life. And but that needs to be made clear that abortion and miscarriage are completely different.
So there will be those who will say, well, a baby is not viable at 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, 11 weeks, 12 weeks, 13, 14 weeks, and that's where, again, we have legislators that are trying to codify that into our state statutes here. Deal with that issue, if you would, Dottie.
Viability doesn't affect the humanity of the child. You're never going to erase the fact that that's a human being. And at what point is it acceptable to end the life of a human being? It's just not.
Yeah.
Not defendable.
We often will hear that this was due to a rape.
Sure. Rapes are hard. Mom has gone through a lot of trauma, and now she ends up, there's a child that's been conceived. That's a victim too. The child is a victim, and we don't want to inflict any more violence on the child for sure, but also for mom. But an abortion is not helpful in those circumstances, and there's a lot of support for helping a mom to navigate what her choices would be in terms of parenting or placement for adoption. But abortion is not helpful.
Yeah. Our phone number is 414-935-3030 or 800-733-8830. You may text in your question or comment 414-439-3585 here for tonight's inFocus program. This being the 51st anniversary of the Roe v. Wade decision that was overturned by the Dobbs decision, and so thankful that took place. And because of that Dobbs decision, you're sitting here tonight, Kiera, and has used the services, of course, of Eyewitness for Life, and it's made a huge difference in your life.
Huge. I always say it like, thanks is not enough. I can't thank them enough for the service that they offer. And it's gotten to a point like where I have a younger cousin who, is pregnant as well, and she was stuck in a situation where she was trying to figure out, and I was just like, hey, I got a place for you to go, you know? And I'm hoping that she did go and took my advice, and, and I'm hoping that it helped her with that. But right now she is currently, she's about 2 months now, I believe, pregnant.
So tell us about your boy right now. He's how old now?
He will be 1 February 9th.
Okay.
He is moving, a lot. So he's finally up, crawling, up, walking, and very active, very independent for his age.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So keeping you on your toes then as well.
Absolutely. Him and also his sister, he's also keeping her on her toes as well. So.
Okay. Talk to the individual who may be watching right now, Kiara, who is just on this brink of decision. What do I do? I don't know that I want to go through with this pregnancy here, but yet I'm hearing what you have to say tonight, and I'm really tossed in what to do.
So my experience, I wouldn't put myself through anything that I knew that I could not handle. And I knew that if I were to abort my child, who I know is healthy and, heartbeat is where it should be and everything is fine, I would not do anything that I would potentially regret, If you do need resources, look for them. Google is a tool, actually. So, you can look into anything and you can find those resources. And there are people that are out here to support you and help you with everything and anything. So, my advice is to honestly do what you have to do, because at some point you made that decision to,
You would recommend people connect with Eyewitness for Life?
Absolutely. That is, like I said, for me, and hearing my story, I feel like it's known now that that was actually a lifesaver. Eyewitness for Life was a lifesaver for me, not just my son, myself as well. Because again, it wasn't just about my unborn child; it was also about me too. And they don't just care about your unborn child; they care about you as the mom, but you as a person. So, yeah, Eyewitness for Life is definitely the place that I would recommend everyone to go to.
We've got Zale calling from Milwaukee. Hi, you're on the air.
I just think it's a wonderful program that you're airing. I'm not clear how to get to the legislation because I'm a senior, but I would like to volunteer and do something to help the program if I could.
Volunteer like with Eyewitness for Life or other group?
Yes, whatever I could do.
Okay, great. Dottie, how can people come alongside and help?
Sure. You can contact us through our website or call us. Sure, yeah. One thing that we give every woman that comes for an ultrasound is a framed picture and a baby cap, a knit baby cap. So we have volunteers, and we rely on volunteers to make those picture frames and to knit those baby caps. That's something that a lot of people can participate in. We always need sonographers. If you're a sonographer, boy, could we use you. You have a skill that's life-saving. So sonographers, we definitely are open to adding more always to our staff.
And thank you for the call here, and we'll be giving out a contact address as well. A sonographer who's got a full-time job, you'll work with her schedule too to come into Eyewitness for Life?
We actually work with her schedule, and that's the uniqueness of our program. We have appointments at all times of the day and even into the evening hours. So many women work now that those evening appointments are very valuable. So yeah, that works with a sonographer's schedule. They're all volunteers, and they work a full day scanning, but then they come in and give us 2 hours, and it's life-saving.
And it may be one evening a week that they're able to come and help you out.
Yes.
And making a powerful impact. You mentioned you do not charge for the ultrasounds. You're a nonprofit organization. Therefore, you're also reliant upon contributions coming in to assist.
We definitely need donations. I don't apologize for that. That's how we run our clinic. And it's necessary. We're very volunteer-driven. As executive director, I don't get a paycheck for that. Our sonographers are all volunteers. They're not paid for that. Our human resource costs are very low. But sure, we need money to operate, to pay our rent, to pay our phone bill. So we appreciate any contributions. And you can go to our website, eyewitnessforlife.org, and donate online.
Yeah, and now even having to cover security services as well
Correct.
in that regard. So, friends, let me give you the address. It is Eyewitness for Life, 2525 North Mayfair Road, and that's Suite 30, Milwaukee 53226. You may call 414-462-5483. That's 414-462-5483. And even if you can't write down the address right now, remember that phone number or the website, eyewitnessforlife.org. That's eyewitnessforlife.org. Do we have time to show that other video here, Josh? Would we be able to get in this video here? Let's try and do this here quick. This is baby Olivia, a window to the womb. Very powerful video. We may run over just a bit, but it's a powerful video to watch.
This is Olivia. Though she has yet to greet the outside world, she has already completed an amazing journey. This is the moment that life begins. A new human being has come into existence. At fertilization, her gender, ethnicity, hair color, eye color, and countless traits are already determined. She begins to implant in the uterus about 1 week after fertilization. Her cells organize into what we call an embryo. At 3 weeks and 1 day, just 22 days after fertilization, Olivia's heartbeat can be detected. The buds of her arms and legs appear by 4 weeks. She begins to move between 5 and 6 weeks with both spontaneous and reflexive movements. At 6 weeks from fertilization, her brain activity can be recorded and bone formation begins. She can bring her hands together at 7.5 weeks, and separate fingers and toes emerge. She can also begin to hiccup. At the beginning of the 9th week, Olivia will have grown from a single cell into nearly 1 billion cells, and she is now called a fetus. She will suck her thumb and swallow, grasp an object, touch her face, sigh and stretch. At 11 weeks, she is playing in the womb, moving her body and exploring her environment. Her taste bud cells have matured by week 12 but are still scattered throughout her mouth. Her mother will first sense Olivia's movements between 14 and 18 weeks, an event called quickening. Beginning at 18 weeks, ultrasounds show speaking movements in her voice box. Around 20 weeks, with a lot of help, babies have survived outside the womb. At 27 weeks, her eyes are responding to light. She can recognize her parents' voices and will even recognize lullabies and stories. Olivia has gone on an amazing journey during these last 9 months. She will soon signal to her mother that it is time for delivery and greet the outside world.
We're grateful to Live Action for allowing us to show that this evening. Powerful, powerful video. We're out of time this evening. Dottie, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. And Kiara, thank you for coming and sharing your story with us.
Of course.
We're
Thank
very
you,
happy
guys.
for you as well.
Thank you.
And friends, thank you so much for joining us here on TV 30, where we stand for life. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Good night.